In the heart of empire, historic Buckingham Palace is the scene of an investiture for gallantry. Canadians leave with the awards which have been presented to them by the King. Military medals and MBEs are the recognition of a grateful nation for deeds of self-sacrifice. For one veteran warrior, the occasion is combined with a reunion which fairly knocks the hat off his fair spouse who hasn't seen hubby for years. The good old cry of "Carry on, Sergeant" still finds the man behind the stripes doing a bang-up job. One of the decorated NCOs is a famous marathon runner of Montreal. Canada's daughters are represented on the honor roll of the fighting force speeding the reckoning with the Reich. Canada's smallest province, Prince Edward Island, sets the pattern for the nation in a registration for family allowances. Systems of handling the thousands of forms in Charlottetown is now being duplicated across the Dominion. On rural routes, data is mailed, which will end in every child under 16 receiving a monthly allowance from the government. The standard of living in every home across Canada will be raised by the Family Allowances bill. Large families especially will benefit. The plan will provide for the maintenance, care, training, education, and advancement of the future generation. Previously, 84% of Canada's children were dependent upon 19% of the gainfully employed. Now the burden of child maintenance will be distributed among all the people of the Dominion. The bill was adopted after careful study of allowance systems in effect in 34 other countries. To Canada's fighting men, it means that commencing July 1st, their wives will receive a monthly check for each one of Johnny Canucks Jr. From Schaerbeck Station in Brussels, Belgian kiddies leave for Switzerland. Undernourished, battle-tired children will have a better chance of health than the neutral mountain country. The Red Cross supervised the movement. Every 3 months, a draft of young Belgians is scheduled to move. The Director General of the Red Cross has completed all arrangements for their reception and billeting in Switzerland. In some cases, tears mingle with smiles as farewells are said to loved ones. In a picturesque winter playground, untouched by the tribulation of war, tears will dry and cheeks will glow with returning good health. Soon the last shot will be fired, and a rebuilt Belgium will welcome back its young countrymen. In the meantime, it's away on the great adventure to a strange new land. Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens, thousands of servicemen on leave from overseas are guests at a performance of the famous Ice Follies. Phyllis Legg, famous stilt skater, delights the audience with her agility. Taught by her ice skating husband, Phyllis has plenty of what it takes in her difficult number. With a background of beautiful settings and unusual lighting effects, graceful routines are enhanced by clever comedy as the show glides merrily on. Featured as King's counselor, Bobby Blake cuts himself a yard of ice in his jitterbug jamboree. There's no use waiting for the Corines at the stage door. They're all locked up in the refrigerator until the next performance. Evelyn Chandler, however, raises the temperature with her Arabian cartwheels. Oh, to be the Iceman now that Evelyn's here. Worth a few bucks across the board at any pari-mutuel is the Follies entry in the Church Street Stakes. His pedigree dates right back to the nearest boneyard. Hazel Franklin and Barry Green do the romance of Moonlight Serenade. Dainty, blue-eyed Mae Ross demonstrates her ability as the best interpretive skater of today. To soldiers back home on rotation leave, a welcome relief from the ravages of war is afforded by the new eye-filling Ice Follies of 1945. With spring in the air on the eve of the next great push, the 1st Canadian Army starts house cleaning. As a tanker's home is his iron steed, the wrench and the hammer replace the mop and the broom. In the brief stay this side of the Rhine, vehicles are painted to make them look pretty for their triumphal parade across the Reich. Jerry mud is sticky, but Canadian elbow grease gives it the works. Painted, greased, and tightened up, the steel war horses are ready for the jump. Till it comes, they are champing at the bit. On Canadian fighting fronts, war artists record their impressions of life in the field. Working in conjunction with the historical department, the soldier artists paint for posterity. In Italy, Captain Campbell Tinning of Montreal and Regina sketches the ruins of an ancient building. Sketches are made in watercolors, oils, or crayon. In all kinds of weather, often close to the front lines, the war artist plies his trade. When the weather is too bad for outdoor work, sketching is continued inside. Lieutenant MacDonald of Montreal uses a visiting infantryman as a model. On the snow-covered Western Front, Lieutenant Colville of Amherst, Nova Scotia, covers the activities of the 3rd Canadian Division. Lieutenant Boback of No. 2 Canadian Field Historical Section prepares to go to work. He finds inspiration in a ruined frontline village under mortar fire from the enemy, only 500 yards away. The apt title of a painting made by Captain George Pepper of Toronto is Hitler's Youth. During one of his painting expeditions, Captain Pepper was caught behind the German lines. Hiding under a culvert, his only food for 10 days was a package of chiclets. This was supplemented by a chicken trapped with his revolver lanyard. The fowl had to be consumed raw, as Jerry was too close to light a fire. From the field, the sketches are shipped to London. After a 6-month tour of active duty, the artist returns to make finished paintings from his field drawings and notes. The final work takes a minimum of 4 weeks to produce. All artists are under the War Artists Advisory Committee, of which the Right Honorable Vincent Massey is chairman. Their works are sent to Ottawa to add to the permanent collection of war records. London's National Gallery and other Empire galleries present them first to the public. Connoisseurs may thus see authentic records of the war's many phases and moods, thanks to the energy of Canada's war artists.